So I'm Jon Bruner. I'm an editor at O'Reilly Media.
My name is David Cranor. I'm with the MIT Media Lab, and I'm working with Jon on this Solid conference.
So Solid is a new conference that O'Reilly's putting on. Joey Ito from MIT is the other co-chair along with myself, and it's about the intersection of software and the physical world. So ways that software and hardware are sort of merging into a single fluid form that people can work with from a background as an electrical or mechanical engineer, or from the background of a software person, sort of add value to physical things with software.
It was very exciting. I mean, one of the main themes that we're exploring in Solid, Solid is about a wide range of things, going from startups to heavy industry. But one thing that we're very excited about is this new renaissance that's happening with people who traditionally wouldn't have had access to prototyping and manufacturing resources, but may have a really big idea, hadn't been able to get to those before. And things like coming to Demo Day here have, it's very exciting because you can see like a couple people with like a really big idea have been able to be connected to the resources that they need in order to make it physical.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can see a really neat form emerging in a lot of these presentations, a lot of the companies here, when they show the team, the list of the team and their backgrounds and qualifications. And what you see is that these are groups of people with like one electrical engineer and one person who used to work at eBay, and they've come together and managed to do something really new. But that requires a lot of So that's a very flexible form, and it means that there's a lot available to people that wasn't available before, but it still requires a lot of expertise and a lot of understanding of the constraints of manufacturing and marketing and scale and stuff like that. And so I think that's where this program looks like it's very promising.
Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting that people are getting access to the tools and equipment that they need, but having access to learning how to do it, like show and tell from people who've been in the industry for a very long time, is also very important to like actually contributing to is very important to contributing to a successful product, having that expertise from other people who've been doing it for a long time. Wearables. I'm trying to think. I spend a lot of time thinking about the way that the things get made, at least right now. As part of this conference, I've been thinking about sort of the methodology and less about the products themselves, which is surprising. I hadn't realized that yet. I don't know. What do you think of the new trends that are emerging? There's lots of, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, so I'm also extemporaneously coming up with this, but I think in the last couple of years, we've seen this big push as people have come from software, come from Silicon Valley, and tried to sort of move into older industries like the car service industry in the case of Uber, or home controls in the case of Nest. And that's happened because these people who come from software and from this community have a really novel idea about how something should be organized. And I think in 2014, we'll see maybe some pushback from older industries that are interested in starting to develop this kind of connectivity and intelligence themselves. All of the car companies are putting enormous effort into developing better relationships between software and their cars, and they're teaming up with software companies. So it's not so much a battle where one front is pushing against the other. It's I think there's a collaborative framework that's emerging, and 2014 is going to be a year where we see a lot of older companies, industrial companies, companies that are concerned with building physical things get involved with the software side.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. I mean, you mentioned like you've got like software people who are like now coming into hardware because we're getting like tools and like, I don't want to say APIs, but like it's easier to interface to an accelerometer IC now than it was like 20 years ago. And so something that's really interesting that science fiction writers have been writing about for a long time is, like if you've ever read The Diamond Age by Neil Stephenson, like pushing the computation and the intelligence actually into the devices, even further than that, like pushing it into the materials themselves. And so, we're still a ways out from that actually happening, but the interesting trend that's happening in hardware startups right now is pretty cool because you don't just see people just making like multi-purpose convergence devices. You see people making rings that are intelligent. You see people making thermostats that are intelligent. You see the device itself remains the device that you're familiar with, But the technology is getting to the point where we're able to add that kind of intelligence into it as we move forward into like having everything that everything is made out of itself be smart. So that's what I'm excited about. I really like the solar panels. Solar panels are cool. I don't remember the name of the company, but I thought it was pretty cool. It was solving a very interesting problem, and it has a market, and those guys seem to have it pretty together, so I like those guys.
And I liked those guys as well, and also enjoyed Ringly. I thought that was a neat sort of way to solve a problem that I hadn't given a lot of thought to. This way that, you know, if your phone isn't in your pocket, you're not aware of it, but that's a clear. Having seen that demonstration, I think that's a type of device that really has a future.
Well, yeah, it's nice, because I mean, like, I'm still not convinced about smart watches, but like, I mean, that functionality, you know, not having to take out your phone to see what's going on is interesting. So it's just to see somebody else doing something with that idea that like fits into the fabric of objects that people already want to wear and are already familiar with.
Yeah, it's neat that a small team in a startup was able to come up with an approach that's that novel to solving that problem.